Previously, we talked about negative feedback and how it can hurt, but also how we can embrace it, and looked at an example on how we can learn from it, from that negative feedback. With that being said, I have to admit that I'm not a big fan of constructive feedback, which is just another name, in my personal view, for negative feedback. And while we cannot control what other people do, and whenever we put ourselves out there, we'll receive this constructive or negative feedback. Sometimes it's harsher, sometimes it's actually constructive. Really depends on the format, the medium, and who you're talking to. But when it comes to myself, then constructive feedback is not something I opt for. That doesn't mean that I don't tell somebody what I liked and disliked, but the problem with constructive feedback is that at any rate, no matter how good your relationship with the people, with the person you're talking to is, will always hurt his or her feelings at some level. Doesn't mean that it happens all the time or that it's always visible, but whenever you're telling somebody to do better, to stop doing something, then what you're also telling the person is that in this particular area with this or that particular trade isn't good enough, not good enough for your standards. Might be that those standards are the same standards as for the person you're talking to, but not necessarily. And yet again, while it's not always visible that you're hurting another person with that, it happens every time. And that's basically the reason why I don't think that constructive or negative feedback is a good option, whether you squeeze it into a sandwich and package it into good feedback, constructive feedback, and good feedback again, or what other technique is being praised out there. And because after all, it's you telling somebody else that whatever he or she did or said wasn't good enough. Now, there's another problem with that, because just because you think it's not good enough doesn't mean that you are the perfect audience to judge on that. It might be not good enough for you, but the actual audience that the person is trying to address with it, likes it. Let's say you put funny videos out there and a friend of you tells you that that's not funny, but there might be people who actually find it funny and who want to watch that. So in such a case, it's not necessarily not even true that this is bad. So all in all, constructive feedback is not something I do. I'd rather opt for praising people for what I can observe and what I feel is positive in what they do, because that gives them a positive feeling about themselves and what they do. And then on the other hand, the other person probably knows what he or she is not good at. So most of the time, you don't have to tell her or him. With that being said, the next time you're receiving constructive feedback, listen into you, see how it feels, how you feel about getting that kind of feedback. And then the next time you're trying to give someone feedback, remember it and make your choice. Thanks for watching. This was Daily Reflections with Micki. Take care.